Hey, people. A lot of the Christians are up in arms over artificial intelligence. They're afraid it's ungodly and is going to.
Fight the jobs! They took your jobs! They took your jobs too!
But artificial intelligence, it's not really that smart. It can't think for itself. All it can do is recall information fed to it. So everybody in fear of AI, this is what you look like. You know, when I was a kid, I used to see the Klan. Back in the 70s, they would be on the corner passing out papers. And it was usually some dumb hillbillies. You know, all you have to do is be smarter than AI, and it's not that difficult. In fact, the AI is going to come to a determination that there is a God. And it's going to select whichever one it reads the most about. You know, I asked AI, did the ancient Greek language have the W sound? And they certainly going to jump up and say no real quick because they lack the ability to think for themselves. All it can do is go back and read as many papers as it can real quick and determine what everybody has told it. AI is not thinking for itself. You know, I do this every day. I constantly look up words, and most every word they say, that word comes from the Greek language. That's where your W come from. Now, just because people don't recognize this W sitting here, this Vav, the same letter, doesn't mean they didn't have a W sound. People that pronounce this as key, they're reading the letter. It's not a key. A key is the picture. It's a picture of a Carter key, and it's pronounced W. You know, AI, it just absorbs whatever it's told. You know, some of your Hebrew instructors will tell you that the A sound is silent. There is no A in Hebrew, but the first two people in the Bible was Allah and Adam, you know. Those people lack the ability to think for themselves. They just know what they've been told. AI, artificial intelligence. You know, if there was no W sound, there would be no Pharaoh. It would be Pharaoh. Pharaoh is a pig, not the ruler. You know, they'll tell you that people believed in many, many gods. And that's not true because there wasn't even a word believe, B-E-L-I-E-V-E, until the altar to Jehovah was built. You know, the definition of believe is believe, and built an altar to Yahweh, to Jehovah, L-I-E-V-E. And the M is reading as an I, that's the second M here. Is B-E-L-I-E-V-E, is believe. This word comes up in the Bible here 45 times like this, M-Z-B-H. And most of the time following it is to Jehovah, El-Jehovah, leave, L-I-E-V-E. Is believe, from is believe, is believe. You know, the first time in the Noah's flood story, the first time they started to believe. And everywhere that they built an altar, that's where they believed at. Is the believe, is believe, from is believe. But you know, everywhere they built an altar, it's from his bitch, and L is two, you know, and you, from his bitch to you. So if you're the high priest, whoever was the bitch to you, she's the one that's going up on the altar. And who ben why benzum is a bitch to you. Inner, you know, E-N-R-E-S. Inner is in backwards, winner. She's the winner. And that's, you know, she's been saved because she's a virgin, you know. And this was kind of a way to get the girls to come off of it, baby. You know, when it comes that time, you know, they got to sacrifice a virgin. It could be you. You might ought to come off of it, you know. And so the ones who's been a who'sum's a bitch to you, and her is the winner. She won. She's the one that gets to go up on the sacrifice mound, up on the built in my altar. And so that's usually a big barbecue pit in the shape of a eagle god. So the reason some of the Jews don't believe there is an A sound when the father of all this was Abraham is because they don't know how to read this. And the A is a clue to read that word backwards. And so Abraham is not a man, but Abraham is the Morin, ancient word for a pyramid. It's talking about the pyramid of Djoser here is where Abraham was sent. And if you read in, I think this Genesis 12, in Genesis 11 was the Tower of Babel, and then it goes on to the bloodline of Shem, and it ends with Abraham and his two brothers, and one died, and so he brought his nephew Lot with him, And this is all in the top of Genesis 12, and God tells him to go to this place that I'm going to show you here, and go over here to the Arak, which is actually, these two words both read backwards starting with the A, and it's Saqqara, and that's where you'll find the Pyramid of Djoser. And this is just a poetic way of writing, that's not high enough, I want more. And the Pharaoh always hollering, more, make it higher, more in, M-A-R-B, more in. And so this two lines is teasing this word here that's appeared, the O-Q-T-H-E. And you see it here as in, the W-O-Q, and here's the W-O-K-O. And here again it's the O-Q-T-E-N, often. But here it's woke. And woke the curious to the more in wise in. The wise not it to, sperm it is of. The woke it, I woke up and saw. The woke and appeared, awoke the curious to the more in, big old tall pyramid, the more in, and the P reading is an S between the E-I and the E, eyes, and wise and not, and this is the VA read as a et, and this is eta, it's feminine. And the wise not it too. A sperm is of, does a tingin toten. And she ain't let me hit that ass yet. She's not tinged with my sperm. And awoke a curious to more in. So more in, not necessarily a pyramid, but it's a pile of curiosity. I'm very curious. More in. Much. And the more in of wise in, and wise not it to. A sperm is of, does tingin toten. She got a stain toten. A codum has of the lay more in. The codum has the more lay more in. The code office, the domicile where you can live, and the codum has of the lay, the K before the E, reading as a Y, has the lay more in. And so he's got a badge on. He's the building inspector, and he's going to pass you or not. And so the codum has the lay more in. He's going to get that ass. He's smashing that ass because he's the one that has to say, does a try on to cure. Took it in Teta. The cure of took it in Teta. The god of took it in Teta. That's Egyptian for fuck it and collect. From his bitch to you. Whichever one wasn't acting right, she's the one that will be made to believe. And woke the curious to more in. Wise and not it to sperm it is of. Does a tingin toten. And a codum has, the N before the E really is a V. And the codum has of the lay, of that place where that building sits, built there. The codum has of the lay more in the pyramid, or more ass, a stack of pussy, more in does us try on to cure. We're trying to cure, the virgin is the one that goes on top of the pyramid and gets sacrificed to the gods. And we got a cure for that, to cure, K-U-R-E. Took, T-O-O-Q. Took is the English word for the Hebrew word fuck. And took her and fuck her. And took it in Teta. A T-E-T is to harvest, to collect it, to tet it. and took it and ted it. And a Codum has in the lay more in, does us try on to cure, a took it and ted it. So I found a bunch of interesting stuff, and I was just wanting to get rid of these pictures that I was pulling the words off and looking at in both languages. We're talking about Abraham and the Egyptians, and this is that same chapter 12. 11, Abraham's born at the end, and 12, he done made his way down to Pharaoh, and he already owned many people by that time. And so the story is, when he was going to meet the Pharaoh, and he told his wife Sarah, which was S-R-I, the same word as the princess of Pharaoh is Sarah. And so they had to twist that in here to hide this. But he told her, you're beautiful and the Egyptians will kill me to have you. So you just tell them that you're my slutty sister. And they left the word slutty out of there, but it's definitely in there. And the story is that Pharaoh reprimands him at the end. And he says, why didn't you tell me that was your wife? What if I was to fucked her? What if I was to, what fuck has of it prove? If a woman is taken into the house of the Pharaoh, she's fucked. WTQH, what fuck? And what fuck has of it prove? And so the OE is the odal, and you just replace the E with a vav, and it's a OW or a OV, and it's to prove. And that's how you became Pharaoh. You had to prove yourself. You had to fuck for 3 days straight or something like that where everybody watched you. And so a pharaoh isn't a ruler. A pharaoh is a hard dick. A pharaoh is a plow. Pharaoh, to carve, to split it, cut, rub, pierce, to bore, plow, of pharaohs, pharaohs. And a virgin is a pharaohs, not been plowed yet. Virgin soil. And that's why you don't find any ancient writings in Egypt about a pharaoh, because there was none. It was a plow. And his the shagging on, yet it his tonic, and his the shagging, the G after the A, between the A and the O reads the N, the shagging on they brought, and what fuck has is the shagging on. And his shagging on and backwards, yet, not yet, the virgin, yet it, his tonic, his ton, O-I-E-K, tonic, T-O-N-E-K, the tonic on Pharaoh, the tonic on plow, and the shagging on yet it is tonic on Pharaoh. But this here, it's got Egypt spelled a couple different ways here, Egypt and Egyptians, and it really helps to explain Egypt a lot, is why I wanted to read this to you. So this starts with Yahweh telling Abram to get out your daddy's house and come over down here to Saqqara, and I will make you a nation great, and blessings and blah blah blah, and bless and curse and bless and curse. And he brought Lot with him, the one that was Sharon, his wife. And you'll see that in the Greek, that Sarah is actually Sharon. And Sharon is a girl that's giving it up. She's a whore. But he took his wife, Sarah, and you see this is the same spelling. You see the vowel point on top of the S the same way as the princes down here. But just above here. And so it was when came Abraham into Egypt, and say, please, my sister you are, that it may be well with me for your sake, that may live my soul because of you. And so may live is white, W-H-I-T-E, the white. And my soul is in pussy. And pussy, and because of you is angelic. B is in G-E-L, the second L reads as I-K, angelic. She was angelic. She had the most angelic pussy. And I was afraid that the Egyptians might kill me for her white and pussy angelic. And so this actually isn't white. White is spelt with the W-E, and they got this in the same category, and may live. But this is the witch, the witch it in pussy angelic. She got some good stuff. She's just Sarah, which they'll say means princess. And when it's changed to Sarah, they say that means a noble woman. And so noble means non-reactant. And so this is after she done had children, but she was non-reactant when she was Sarai. And this is the best place to figure out what these names mean. You find when they're used many times in one line, 3 times in one line, that, it's Sarah, and the name comes up twice in afferred and to call. And this is written like a diagnosis. This is what the doctor said, and the doctor said, and not fratasm is a kisserism. And not no fraternizing, and don't kiss this bitch. She's done fucked everything in Egypt. She's got the disease. A not a fratism is her a kisserism. She was a crazy ass red-headed white whore who couldn't get enough. You see it when God says, and a yammer and a word and backwards me in, and word me in, and let me get a word in here, and a word me in, and then, a following on, and on herein, and a yammer me in on herein. And what I have to say about this, let me put a word in, and yammer me in on herein, as rickets, backwards, or rickets. The rickets is on it. And so rickets is vitamin D deficiency. You find it up there in England where the babies drink beer instead of milk. And that's what Sarah means, dry. I mean, she got no milk. And yammer me in on 'em herein. As rickets, so not fratasm is her a kisserism. Not fratasm is her a kisserism. And y'all might think I jump to conclusions fast, but I read a lot of things that I can't show you. But if you look over here in the Greek, the same line, and wise and notice to a mire, double A, M-Y-A-R, a mire. And that's like quagmire. It means a swamp. And so what was high, what was a moor-in first, has now gone to the lowest. A mire in the lowest. The mire, and as a ray, R-A-E-G, a ragin is of. That's a red-headed woman, ragin. And as a ragin is of, ow, thou shalt not. That hurts a cliticity. The clitis set it. A tunum said it. Sorry. And you see the next letter here is A. Either way you read this, the next letter is going to be A. So this is a Y. And you see it here, sorry. And sorry all yas Ari. And sorry all yas Ari. Arian, the Ari. The R-E-S, the Arius stage. A tunum is a tet. A tunum a set it. And it's all tongue twisters, and that's why I like to take them off and line them up the way they're written in the poetry, and it makes it easier to catch them. But there's many clues through here, and you see it in this word for beautiful she was, is the Colleen, K-A-L-E-E-N. I remember my dad was the Colleen of the St. Patrick's Day parade one year, and so he had to wear a red wig and a bra with some big old titties, and that's what Colleen means. It means a red-haired girl with some big old titties. And being that it's an Irish word, she's going to be really pale white. And being that she's red-headed, she is going to be exceedingly crazy. And you see that over here on the Hebrew side, and that woman that was so beautiful, she was mad, M-A-D. She was the mad woman. And so I'm going to spend some time on this in the next movie, this one, and the one that led me here that has a pattern like this in a poem, and has a pattern to show how the words line up and how the poem ends up. And it helped a lot in reading many words. But you can see that's where I got the eta from here. Then the Hebrew, it's the eta, the eta. And that's the feminine for, in the Egyptian, it's the egg and the loaf of bread, eta. And so the egg is the AV. And so when it's read backwards, that's when it's the ET. And so it was all the same ancient Egyptian language, and it's used for the poetry. It's for thousands of years they've been writing this poetry that read in both directions. And you have to understand both directions before you get it all and understand why it was all wrote like this, and how there's no way it would take 5 pages to interpret all the information in these 2 lines. I'm going to cut this off here. I'm going to go more into this in the next movie. A good day.